I'm Rory Schlein, an Australian international speedway rider. 3 months ago I suffered a spinal injury, 2 fractures, a shattered vertebrae, and I've had 2 rods and 8 screws inserted into my back. This video's a kickstand to get me back where I want to be, and that's racing a motorbike.
When he was lying in bed, at his bedside, I asked him, and he didn't really want to talk about it. It was too early. He said he would never say never. It was too soon, because I mean he had lost the feeling in his legs, and then he had this miraculous operation that got his feeling back in his legs, and it was going to be a lot of work. And obviously as time went on, he obviously got stronger, and mentally he was getting stronger all the time. And he just said it's not his time. He calls the shots, not anything else in his life. So, and he wanted to be on his terms, that when he gives up Speedway. So that was that's how he looks at it.
We both knew that he'd want to.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that the injury was to the point where he would not be able to, through fear of damaging once he was healed, which I am still very concerned with at this point in time. And I know, he says to me, "Harden up, Dad," but I just think we've been personally involved with motorcycle races that have been put in this position and worse. Close friend of mainly Lynette's, a guy by the name of Rory Schlein. He was preparing to go to England to start his career, and on the last Friday night he was to ride, he crashed and ended up in a wheelchair. A young friend of ours in Darwin, it happened to him on motocross, Clive Baxter.
Like you rode with?
Yeah.
Phil
Kerr. Yeah, we've got a close friend. I've raced sidecars, and this happened at a race I was in, and this guy crashed and ended up in a wheelchair. So we know, we've been not directly involved with their life, but we have been very close to what's going on. So what happens when the worst happens. Things change. You're going down this road, and then all of a sudden you do a 90-degree turn and you're going down that road, and that you have to go down that road whether you like it or not. It's like poor Darcy Ward at the moment. It's just, but we accept hard to, and they all do. Rory, Darcy, all the other lads, the Speedway riders, they all understand the danger involved in racing. It's not nice, but it's part and parcel of
who they are,
motorcycle racing,
If I'm totally honest, I didn't think he would ever ride again. I had it in my mind he wouldn't, because of the extent of the injuries and knowing his families, I know them, and I didn't think he would put himself through it. But typical Rory, he loves a challenge, and he won't bow down because he loves the sport.
I think it was probably around about the 8th or 9th day or something like that. I had some visitors. I had my English mechanic lead come over. I was still a little bit, probably dosed up on drugs and stuff like that, and we started talking about bikes and stuff, or what we were doing with the bikes, what we had, and it was probably at that time I was thinking about riding, but not necessarily wanting to ride. I think I was just trying to keep my brain ticking over. I wanted to make sure, I still had employees working for me, and I just wanted to make sure everything was in place. So there was no loose ends or anything like that. So I think that was instinct more than anything. But when I flew home and seen my kids, it was 14 days before I'd seen my kids, and it was when I seen them, that's when I started to think, you know what, that this might not be what I want. Speedway, it's given me a great life and got a great career. If it wasn't for Speedway, I wouldn't have met my missus and done what I've done. But it was at that point, you just, like I said earlier, it makes you change, makes you look at life a whole different. You just can't fathom that feeling, especially when you've got kids. It doesn't, it's just words don't describe. But then when obviously I started weaning off the morphine and get me wits about me and eating again, and started watching a few meetings on telly, and you're always going to have that bug. And Speedway's like any other motorsport. If you're a motorbike rider, once you're hooked on it. I said it in an interview a few years ago that Speedway is a disease, and once you're infected with it, unfortunately there's no antibiotic for it. And I think I did my first meeting, I can't remember the day, but I went to Kings Lynn. They helped the boys out, just to be in the pits and that, and it was in there, it was sort of, I feel like a ride, but it wasn't an itch. It wasn't an itch, but it was like, I could do that. I would say about a month after, a good month, when I was sat at home watching more Speedway, and I thought, I miss this. It's hard to describe if you want to call it a drug. I miss that fix, of getting on a bike with no brakes and having that feeling of going into a corner at 80 mile an hour plus sideways. There's nothing else like it, and whether it's selfish and pig-headedness that I want to ride again, if it is that, it is. But unfortunately, I can't get rid of it. It's as simple as that.
I think it's been going on for quite a few months now, like when he started to, when he got the okay from the doctor that he could start doing exercises and stuff like that, that was when we knew that he wasn't exercising, and obviously he had to build himself back up again because he'd lost quite a bit of weight and lost, muscle tone and all that sort of stuff, that he was edging his way back to being what he wanted to do. I don't think that was never...
I sort of understood that, or I had a feeling that if it was possible he would return to riding, which I'm not overly happy about, but he didn't sell any of his equipment, and that was a sign that this job's not over yet. He had more to offer, and Speedway had more to offer him.
The talk I had with my fiancée Natalie, I held it off for about a week after I made my mind up that I wanted to race again, and because I knew what she had been through, seeing the state I was in, and she having the phone call off me into saying that I might not ever walk again. It was tough, and unlike most motorsports athletes, a lot of their misses are from from a racing background, and Natalie's not. She you know, I met her outside racing, and she's the type of person who doesn't really care if I race well or I don't race, or I do race well. It you know, she just wants to know that I'm safe and I'm coming home. So that's why it was hard to tell her, and she, you know, since then it's been difficult. You know, at home has been difficult because of that very reason. She doesn't want me to put myself through that position again, and also, like, you know, I don't want to really put her through that, and the kids, because it's, you know, that, like I said before, that feeling of not knowing whether I can pick my kids up again. If I'm going to be sat in a chair with 4 wheels, it messes with your head so much. And it's still not, you know, she still hasn't accepted it now. She can't stay in the same room as if I've got Speedway on the TV, so it makes it very difficult when I'm talking to sponsors, or, you know, when I was talking about doing this video, it was obviously signs of me getting one step closer to throwing my leg back over a bike, and she's not happy. But she also knows that Speedway makes me happy, and she's put up with quite a bit of, you know, crap over the years with what racing brings, and if it wasn't for her, you know, you know, I wouldn't be where I am in my career and accomplish what I've accomplished. But I know deep down she'll still be there. Whether if I'm as good as what I was before or better, it doesn't matter. She won't, you know, I don't change in her eyes, which is a good thing.